The pros.
Remember they were playing bowling?
And welcome in to another Monday Night live stream. Have a list of things to talk about tonight. We'll see how fast that goes. I am shooting for, as always, one Joe approved unit, but we will see how that goes. I did make a rundown, so let's see what the rundown shows for the night. So we're going to talk about DNS issues, how sometimes routing stuff is very hard, changes in my home lab, and certificates related to the home lab. So let's go to the chat and see who's here. I see that Toro is first. So he even asked if he was first. Tony says second. So welcome in, Tony. Looks like that is all we have. So it's a quiet night so far. Oh, there he is. There's Joe. I knew it'd be a matter of time. And as he pointed out, he's third. So Toro, was it you that had the question on my social post or YouTube social post about ATSC3? Was that you? Sorry, I probably should look this up beforehand, but I'm just now remembering this. Yes, it was. So Toro asked, just throwing this out there, move to ATSC3. I think we talked about this previously in one of the live streams. Um, so I thought I'd just address it real quick since there was an actual question. ATSC3 is all IP based, and one of the things we're looking into, getting done here pretty soon is some upgrades to our encoder, which would allow us to go ATSC3. It kind of already can, but the new version obviously is better. The issue with that is it's all IP, and while our STL or studio to transmitter link is IP based, I'm not sure it has enough bandwidth, honestly, to cover that. So we may have to revisit that. Um, but really, that's the only change is the encoders get some software updates or changes, reconfiguration, and the exciter at the transmitter site, which actually makes the RF signal, has to either get a software update if it's new enough or has to be replaced. And that's probably the single biggest purchase or need, because most stations have software-based encoders. Like ours actually are virtual machines, and they are Linux boxes or Linux VMs. So ours are really easy just to change the software out. But the exciter at the transmitter site is probably your biggest single issue with ATSC3 and converting to it. I do know more and more stations are going that way, at least one per market. And I noticed Lon TV the other day posted a thing about ATSC3 and how he was able to get TV finally at his house because he put an antenna on the roof. Which, if he would have just asked me, I would have told him that 3 years ago when he first mentioned that he couldn't get TV. But anyway, I see that the chat is starting to become more alive. Let's see here. Who else is here? Practical IT with Jeremy is here. You fell asleep after dinner. You had tacos. We had hoagies. Haley made us hoagies, which was awesome. Joe had tacos too. So Jeremy and Joe had tacos. Only Jeremy fell asleep after eating them. What is your latest video on, Jeremy? I'm just curious what your topic is, and will you hit the midnight deadline? Lip syncs out of whack, huh? Again? How did I change that last time? How far would you say it's off, Joe? Joe says, exciter, how exciting. Hey, MT, I welcome into the live stream. I don't think I've actually seen you here before, or if I have, it's been a while. 2 frames. That's so precise, Joe. I should know what a frame actually is. 2 frames equals how many milliseconds? 30 frames is... We're doing 30 frames a second. How many frames per millisecond? Calculate. That is not a good chart. How many frames per second? That's what I'm curious. So the frames, 2 frames. 2 milliseconds? That seems weird. that wouldn't be noticeable. Well, yeah, that's true, MT. If it's 2 o'clock there, you probably are asleep. There, Joe. Is the lip sync better? Probably made it worse, but alrighty. So MT's here. Blah blah blah. The video is covering multipass from Canonical. Going to build a thumbnail and get it uploaded to YouTube. Awesome. Alrighty. So let's start with the rundown. Again, Joe, if the lip sync's worse or better. Okay, perfect. So as the live stream's called, it's always DNS. Uh, so I was on a important work call today, and all of a sudden, one of my engineers walked in and was like, "We have a problem." And I said, "Okay." And he said the half the newsroom didn't work, and I was like, "Half the newsroom's down? Like that's a kind of a big deal." Um, and I said, "Well, what do you mean it's down?" He's like, "Well, it doesn't have it. They don't have internet access." And I'm literally on a Teams call with a screen sharing app, so like the internet clearly is working. But I was like, "Why is half the newsroom down?" Welcome in, David. So he's explaining to me how like half the room has, no internet, but half the room does, and so we're in a three switch stack. So the whole newsroom's fed off of three switches, and he actually looked at that. He said he's like, well, the switches are fine, and then he said half the building or half the room can still get to internal resources. So now I'm thinking, okay, if the internal thing is working and the internet's working for me, what does he mean by half the building can't get the internet? So I opened up a browser and I tried doing just going to a Google, and of course I can't go anywhere. Blank, no response. I tried pinging Google, no response. I tried pinging 8.8.8. As you all know, that's Google's DNS server. That worked. So obviously, it was we had internet, and I'm still on the Teams call with the screen sharing. So it's obviously DNS, but it's hard to tell. Is this my DNS? Is this a other? Who knows? Where's this issue actually coming from? So I run down the hall, or I should say, I walked fastly, to be precise. Uh, I walked in the hall to check out our DNS servers because we still have physical DNS servers, and they're spinning away. Now I didn't plug into them to see if they were working, but they're still spinning away. So I start checking everything else. Okay, maybe there's simply a switch out, and therefore they can't get to the DNS servers. Going through my whole process of okay, what could it be? What could it be? So then I said, well, what if it's not just me? So I took my phone off Wi-Fi and opened up Teams, and just to see the, you know, internal communications, from other people in this company, and lo and behold, it's everybody. Everybody has DNS issues all of a sudden. So, uh, moral of the story is it's always DNS, and that has actually bit me several times in the last, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months. It's been bit by DNS issues before. Um, so, lesson, for everyone out there, check your DNS. Have good DNS. Make sure it's working. I do not know why we all of a sudden lost DNS in the middle of the day. Nobody did admit why that happened, but we'll see. Maybe they'll share. All right. So, any thoughts about DNS? I know Tony, Joe, and I were having a conversation today about DNS and forcing people to use your DNS on your local network. Um, that is something I actually do. I basically redirect any request on port 53 and is it 853? Yeah, for the DNS sec or yeah. I redirect those requests to my DNS servers so that not you, but anybody who comes to my house and uses my network is forced to use my DNS servers, because sometimes attackers will, you know, use their own DNS servers instead of using public DNS servers, and they'll also use like certain DNS servers, like they'll use Google or whatever it is. So if you force them to use yours, you can obviously run blacklist on your DNS servers, which help spammers or attackers. Um, and so it's one way to help prevent or secure your home network, or any network for that matter. Toro says he has lots of thoughts about DNS. Joe asks, "Do I have a lot of people at my house who are hacking me?" Well, um, not exactly. Um, no, I do not. I only have had, I should say, one friend at one point who could probably do that. But other than that, I haven't seen him in years. Um, so no, no one's in my house hacking me. But um, I just find it, I guess, good practice, or a good test, if you will, to kind of set up your home network in a secure way, and, you know, a solid way to, maybe if you did have a hacker or if you did have an incident, hopefully it might help you resolve that issue or prevent it from happening. So it was just a thought. So I set up several things, the secure way, if you will. I have different VLANs and isolation. You know, I have oh, what are those things? I have these TP-Link um, Wi-Fi enabled switches, and they're awfully cool, especially when you use them for like Christmas lights or the Christmas tree. And then you give your wife access to it so she can play with the tree. um, but yeah, so these are all I have. I mean, I have three of them right here in my hand. We have several still around the house, and I put these on their own um, Wi-Fi LAN, and then only allow internet access. And again, uh, I redirect DNS on these because I don't know what these are programmed for. So um, I make sure they're not going to China or anything weird like that. Um, I will say that uh, those SRT encoders and decoders that we did our stream on that one time, uh, they do a funky thing. They do a DNS query to some Chinese website over and over again. Um, Same one every time, obviously. Uh, it just keeps doing a DNS query and basically says, "Is it there? Is it not there?" And that's all it does. Um, so if I actually were to have one on my home network, I would obviously use DNS to block that query. I don't know what it's doing, but it does it constantly. So yeah, so MT says it is quite a bit spooky that a few lost their connection, others don't or didn't. Yeah, I'm guessing that's more of a cache issue. Like, some people had been to a website earlier or were on a website and therefore it still worked. Others were trying to load up new websites. Um, I can only imagine the scenarios that were playing around at, at that point, because um, we tend to use the same websites over and over again. So if people had their tabs open, some people have 30 tabs open, some have 5 tabs open. Um, they probably had some of that stuff cached in their browser. So that's why some people probably saw it and some people didn't. The other thing they could have, some people have a hard time understanding what is internal to the into the system or external. So they may say the internet's down and they actually mean that an internal resource is down, but they don't know the difference. So I'm guessing that might have played a role too. Joe says, word of wisdom, don't use your ISP DNS. Yes, I don't do that. Um, Definitely don't do that. And it amazes me how slow their DNS servers are. I know that it's not a priority for them, but like seriously, some of them are just slow. Capture the concept. Ashley is here. She says hello. Cho says, I heard your wife was hacking you. She is why your IPv6 wasn't working.
She's right.
She said you're right. She's in the other room. um, no, if there was a pie hole, she would probably be all over that one.
You betcha. I'm all about that pie hole.
Did I tell you? Did we tell you the pie hole story from last time? I don't think I did. I don't know if I did or
I
not.
think you did.
I think I did. Yes, DNS filtering is a partial way to stop malware. Uh, yeah, partially. It's obviously not foolproof, but it definitely is great to do. Please hit the like button. How many people are actually here so far? Right now it says 9 concurrent viewers, 6 likes. So I appreciate you all for being here. Tony says, Haley, that his wife always tells him to shut his pie hole.
She's my new bestie.
Haley's a big fan of your wife. David asked about the interview. The interview went well. It was ended up being Friday morning, so um, it was good, and hopefully I'll hear back soon. Other than that, I don't have any update, but the interview definitely did go well. So thank you. Toro says DNS over HTTPS kind of borked all that. It did, um, to an extent, I guess. DNS command and control server. The only reason why I would be doing that. Yeah, like I said, I think that would be the only thing that I can understand is the cache and people had it stored. Jeremy says his ISP gets a bad rap. Locals keep saying it's down all the time when I have no issues. Of course, I see. I have the exact same thing here on the community Facebook page. At least probably once a month, it seems like someone's like, "Is Spectrum down?" And you get like 5 responses that says yes and 5 responses that say no, and it almost always ends up being those of us who do not use their Wi-Fi or router are always up, and the ones who use the free router solution, whatever they use these days, are down. So it's obviously either a DNS issue or their router boxes that they give away just suck. Um, as you all know, or you probably all know, I have a cable modem, just a modem, plugged into a pfSense router, and then I have one, oddly enough, one Ubiquiti access point right up here. And even though I'm in the corner of the house, the thing covers like the entire property, including in the house. And so, um, never felt the need to add more because this one right here covers the entire house. That's true. Um, if you use your local DNS, another nearest, yeah, I guess 10. Yeah, I mean that makes some sense, but everyone seems to use Quad 9 or Google these days anyway, and they all have regional DNS servers, and so regional, um, oh, what's it called? Where they all have the same IP address, but they're regional. I forget what that's called. He went to a LAN party to fix the DNS. Keith is in the house. Welcome, Keith. Uptime Kuma for monitoring your ISP's DNS servers. Interesting. I keep seeing videos on that, so I probably should at some point try that out at least. There you go, David. Anycast. That's what I was looking for. A lot of providers or a lot of big, stuff uses Anycast now, so you're already hitting their local thing by nature of routing. And Keith, I feel like you could stay tonight. I don't think it's going to get over your head. I think we're going to keep the topics pretty general tonight. So just sit back and relax. So that was DNS and how DNS, it's always DNS. So just remember that. It's always DNS. Keith says, woo. So the second topic, let's check the rundown again. The second topic for tonight is routing is hard. So we're doing story time tonight. So in preparation for this live stream, I was playing around with a couple things, trying to get the DigitalOcean cloud WireGuard gateway project up and running, because I wanted to show that tonight if I could. And I was having this issue basically where, who we're missing tonight? I just realized Bob's not here. Someone should hit Bob up and let him know I'm live, because probably YouTube probably didn't. Anyway, so the DigitalOcean droplet, where basically I do a WireGuard tunnel from my pfSense to the cloud, and then what I wanted to do was have multiple servers in the cloud in that same what they call VPC, and I want to be able to access them all through the WireGuard tunnel, but I don't want any of them to have public internet access. So basically my own little network in the cloud that only my house can access. And so I've been playing around with this, and it was working. And then I, of course, I tore it all down and then recreated it all to make sure I knew what I was doing. Well, when I did it the second time, of course, it didn't work. And I was like, why does this not work? So I'm reading all kinds of how-tos and tutorials, and I'm trying all different things, and nothing is working. And I'm like, this can't be this hard. Like, it just worked. Why is it not working? So I tore it all down again. I only had two servers, or two droplets. So I only had my WireGuard droplet, and then I had just a generic web server droplet. And then the firewall rules, basically for the web server, only allowed local connections or local to the cloud. So it was a 10 dot, I think it was 116 address. So I tore those down, thinking maybe I got those wrong as well. And so I was like, well, fine, I'll rebuild it again. So I rebuilt the whole thing again a third time with new droplets, just to make sure I was getting it right. And I was playing around with it for like 2 hours every day. While Haley worked on her stuff, I worked on this, and I just could not figure out why that in a WireGuard endpoint, the routing was just not working right to get to the web server. So the WireGuard server was like 10.16.02, and the web server was 10.16.03, and the WireGuard server could get to the web server just fine because they're on the same local subnet. And my home computer, or my computers in my house could get to 10.16.02, the WireGuard server, so at least the routing on my end was working. And maybe some of you astute listeners have already figured out the issue. I forgot to put the route back in the web server. So while I could get to the web server, it had no idea how to get back to my home network. So finally, I went in and added the route to the web server, and then magically, everything started working like it was supposed to. Uh, Ping was working, SSH was working, HTTP was working. I had modified the firewall to make those work. And so all of a sudden it was working like it should. And so now in the process of that, I have the laptop and my computer both, going over this WireGuard tunnel to the server. And then I set up a separate WireGuard tunnel for my laptop when I'm not at home that does the same thing to prove that I actually could make it work. So turns out simple routing is the solution. So I can't even begin to tell you how many hours I wasted all over a simple routing command. So let's go back to the chat and see what you all are saying. Tony says my ear looks better tonight. Well, that's good. It's a little bit red, but not horrible. Joe says Uptime Kuma is awesome. You hooked up to an SMS service. Well, that's kind of cool. I'd be curious to know how that works. Joe's a very astute viewer and says my ear is less red than it was last week. Maybe it's the access point. Well, the problem is this ear is red and the access point's on this side, so this ear would be red. If Haley is thinks our conversation's a little nuts. That's what I was saying. Joe's a little crazy. In case you didn't know this. Yeah, I mean, I have a GVM light over there on a softbox. I have just a regular desk light over here, and this is just a C920 webcam. So I think it's decent. Probably should get another softbox at some point, but Keith, did you see the Wacom tablet in Tony's video? Oh yeah, he says yes. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, classic routing issue. I mean, you would have thought I would have known that or remembered that from when I did it the first time because it was working. So I tore it all down. But sometimes I forget routing tables exist for a reason and they're very important. And when pfSense does it for you and you're building a VM yourself, you forget to do it in on the VM. I also find it interesting, and maybe this will save you guys from hassle in the future. DigitalOcean apparently has a thing on there where if the source address of a packet is not consistent with the network interfaces on the VM, the hypervisor will actually drop the packet as kind of like an anti spam or anti I guess spamming or denial of service, I guess is what I was trying to think. So I thought that was interesting that they actually filter your traffic even though in theory it's your VM. Joe, you are weird. You are weird. I'm just going to leave it at that. MT says, hi, Haley.
Hi.
She says hi back. Tony says, doesn't Haley realize we're all nuts by now?
Yeah. That's why I like everybody.
She's she says yes, that's why she loves everyone because she's nuts too. And to marry me, she's got to be pretty nutty.
Yep.
And then she finds a Chihuahua pug dog with an attitude and brings Puka into the house. So yeah, it's a little nuts around here.
Impersonal Bogo.
As she says, or we discovered tonight, it's my personal BOGO. It's buy one get one. So I got a wife and then I got a dog because of course you buy one and you get one. The routing behavior I ran into with DigitalOcean is reverse path forwarding. I'll take your word on that. I don't understand routing all that much. So I'll have to look that up. Reverse, but it makes sense. It's yeah, because reverse. Yeah, like I said, the packets can get there, they just couldn't get back. So that does make a lot of sense. Some things in IT are obvious. Some things in IT are not. Alrighty, so looks like I'm all caught up now. So the next thing on the rundown is Home Lab, and if you remember from previous streams, I talked about how I was a little annoyed with Ubuntu's Pro, whatever they're calling it now, where they basically want you to sign up for their free updates um, on some of their older LTS stuff. And frankly, that set with me really weird. I didn't really like that idea. Um, I get they're free to do whatever they want. It's their product. So I have actually rebuilt all my virtual machines except one to be regular Debian. I tore every machine down. Of course, I had backups, but I deleted every VM, recreated it with Debian, and then reinstalled whatever services were on it. So my Creator Invoice, which I'm playing around with, my Zen Orchestra, my Unify controller, which only controls one access point, which seems kind of stupid, but nonetheless, I have a Unify controller. I rebuilt all of those with just regular Debian, and so far so good. I like the fact that I'm now just using the regular stuff, um, not any particular flavor, and that I have all the updates I want because Debian is doing the regular updating. So I built them on, is it Bullseye, which is 11. So I'm on Debian 11 for everything. So yeah, so just wanted to share that in my ventures. I've actually been making a notebook of kind of some of the steps that are involved, and would like to, at some point, build a website or build some kind of, uh, I guess, a website blog, so I could post the how tos because I find that not all of them are up to date with the latest versions. So be good to get that out there. Plus, it's good for me to remember or just have as a reference. So if I want to spin it up again, I can just go there, copy the commands, and make it work. So if that would be of interest to any of you, please let me know, and I will look into building a website for just posting code to. I know Google has. I think Google has a free one somewhere where you can just kind of get a static web page, which would work for me. I'm not going to update it all that often, so I might have to just figure out how to get a free host using. I think it's Google. Is it using Google Drive, or I forget how that works? If you know what I'm talking about, please let me know. I think it was it Chris Titus who posted a how-to on how to do that? So along with that, the other thing that I was going to talk about is certificates, and this is where I decided to actually secure all my new VMs with certificates, but since they're all internal, I don't want to deal with Let's Encrypt, so I actually created a CA, or certificate authority, and then I issued certificates to each server so that I could, and then I installed the CA cert in my browsers. So when I go to um, so when I go to now my TrueNAS box, it actually is secure, and it is, says connection secure, and this is not just um, a self-signed certificate. It's actually a valid cert. So here you can see that the uh, CA, or as I could, is actually issued the certificate. So I thought that was kind of fun, and there's actually a really cool program, which I think I talked about last time, called XCA, and you're not seeing that yet. Hold on. So now you should see, if I go to open up my YouTube one, I think you're seeing this. I hope you are. Yes, you are. So this is X certificate and key management. And so basically this is a blank database, and you can create a new certificate. And then in this case, you would make a CA template and make sure you hit apply all, because if you don't, I've had some issues with that. You would obviously make a certificate. You have to fill out, I think, those 4 or those 5 before it'll actually work. Then you can create a private key for it. And then the thing that always hung me up, at least at first, was you have to go to an extensions over here, and you want to edit the extension to be your DNS. So youtube.domain.com, and you hit apply. Now it actually put your DNS name in the there, so that it can actually apply it to the website. If you hit OK, sorry, this is the cert. This is the CA. I did that wrong. But now at least you see this. There's the CA. So now if I create a new certificate underneath that, I can actually use this, use that YouTube certificate for signing other certs. And then here you would actually choose TLS server. So you can actually have this certificate sign the new certificate. I'm just picking the first name I saw. So, if we were going to do like an MT certificate, you could make a key for it. And then again, you would then add DNS for that. And then you see how it put it underneath the CA. So here would be my server certificate, and then here would be my key, and you could export these out and then put them on your server, and that gets a little bit more involved. But I thought that was kind of cool. This little program will do it for you and manage it, and it's fairly straightforward and easy, and I liked it. So I have converted all of my internal servers over to this, which I thought was kind of cool. So any questions about that? David says make a static website via Hugo. Hugo. I think I've heard of Hugo, but is it gohugo.io? Is this the right place? Oh yeah, most popular open source static site generator. Create a website. You have to install Hugo and install Git. Okay. This actually seems kind of complicated. I guess maybe not. I don't know. Interesting. I'll have to watch a video on this or something just to see um, how good it is, or how fancy you can get. Hugo, huh? Okay, I'll have to check that one out later. Thank you for make a note of that before I forget. Hugo static website. Thanks for the tip. MT says it's a great idea to have an outsourced brain. I would say yes. Motions to the internet. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love the idea of being able to just make a quick how to, and I'm not talking like a fancy one, basically like install Linux, go here, paste this command, go here, paste this command. It won't be a very graphical or, great how to, but basically get all the commands out there and in the order that you need to do them so you don't forget them, and file paths and all that stuff. So definitely be something that I would love to do. Like I said, I use OneNote right now to currently kind of do that, and I have whole tabs in OneNote with how I built my Nextcloud server and how I did MinIO and the OBS video where I, uh, made modifications to OBS from source so that you could actually stream to the streaming bridge. That was one of my earlier videos in my YouTube career. I have a whole OneNote section on how to do that because that was kind of complicated to how to do the wire captures and figure out what needed changed, and then the commands to actually compile OBS from source. Which actually was my first time I actually ever built a Linux program from source was OBS. Since it was so well documented, it actually worked for me. It was kind of fun. David uses Let's Encrypt via DNS challenge. As long as you have internet outbound, you can generate Let's Encrypt locally without exposing anything. I don't think I knew that, actually. I thought you had to... Do you have to modify DNS manually, though? I mean, I do that with my... what do I use that for right now? Oh, I use HA proxy to allow Let's Encrypt certificates for two of my services that I do make publicly facing, although I do... so my Nextcloud server is publicly facing, except that it's IP filtered. So unless you are at a handful of IP addresses, you can't actually get to it. But in order to use certs that are, available, I do use Let's Encrypt for that. Although when I rebuild it, I may do that differently. I'm not sure yet. Although I think the Nextcloud client prefers to have an actual cert. I can't remember now. Oh, Chris Titus talked about Hugo. Okay. I mean, I guess I could post it on GitHub. It does the same basic thing. I guess I should probably do that too. Toro says +5 for OneNote. David's also a fan of OneNote. I mean, it works. It's a pretty nice tool. Joe says, have you seen this? Probably not. Hold on. Let me go click on here. So what is this? This is a quad enterprise encoder. Oh wow. Definitely enterprise prices, that's for sure. Interesting. Hmm. Quad delivers 4K streams. Wow. And it records it too? That's interesting. Hmm. I have no use case for that, but that's cool. 5 bucks a month. I thought Microsoft 365 was more expensive than that. Can you use your own? Can you use your own domain on that one, or is that the more expensive tier? What else did you send me, Joe? An all-in-one live streaming camera with optical zoom. Hmm. Interesting. OneNote is great. Oh, the automated with Acme. So Acme will do it without. I maybe I'm missing something, but how does it update your DNS automatically to do the DNS challenge? Well, no, I mean I get yeah. Say Acme supports DNS challenge. That's what I do for mine. Um, but I guess you have to actually go out there and do the challenge manually. Is that you still got to do that, right? You can't automate that, or can you? Maybe I'm not understanding something. Alrighty, so I think I'm caught up. It looks like. MT, where are you from? Like what country? That camera is great. It uses LiDAR for autofocus. Huh. So this is the camera we're talking about. Fast autofocus. HDMI, USB-C, and IP. Well, that's good. That is definitely. And it supports NDI HX natively. So in other words, what they're saying here, am I showing this? Yeah. What they're saying here is that they paid for the license, so you don't have to. Because NDI is not free. Oh, MT is in Germany. Okay. Well, I do appreciate you joining us all the way from Germany. You use access keys for DNS. So for Cloud for DNS, you generate keys and you put them in Acme. Okay. So yeah, so you gotta give access. That makes sense. I mean, if that supports NDI and SRT right from the camera, that is definitely a plus. That could be kind of cool.
Or you too.
And I think he said he saw the camera last year. He didn't buy it. He just said he saw it, but I could be wrong. Alrighty, so pretty sure I started streaming right really close to 9 o'clock. So I need to go 9 more minutes to get the one JAU. So we're gonna check out Joe's website to see if he's actually done anything with it yet. So the Joe approved unit. I have not. No, it looks like no changes yet, Joe. I will say that I really do want the the ability to have a clock embedded down here in the corner or wherever with an actual counter, so that you could start the clock and everyone would know how long you've been streaming or how long you've been talking. I guess I should say. Um, so yes, that that would be definitely something I would like to have. I guess I'm sure OBS can. I mean, OBS does the. Um, oh, you will do those. Okay, so you all heard it here. Joe says he will do the countdown timer or clock. Um, I guess I'll have to do two overlays because you have to have chat from, well, in this case, Aaron Parecki's plugin, and then you'd have to have an overlay from your website. So um, that's 2 layers of keying. So Keith, you're still here. How would you do that with ATEM? If you're going to do 2 layers of keying, challenge tomorrow. Keith, actually, are you streaming tomorrow? I'm curious. I don't think you. I think you missed last week. I don't know if Keith's still here or not, but oh, he is here. Okay. MT says he has no use for the camera or no need for the camera. Joe says I'll get extra JAU if I help build it. Well, I'm not really a coder, but I could definitely test it out for you. And I say I'm not really a coder. I have done some code before. I mean, I did back in the day. I did websites like late '90s. Did websites. Um, done Roku apps. I've done Apple TV apps. Not in a while. Actually, I bought an Apple TV literally for one app. I don't think I've used this in probably 2 years. I'm not even sure if it even works anymore. It's kind of dusty, actually. um, but yeah, so I mean, I've done. This was used the Swift language. Roku uses their own. I think it's called Bright Script. Um, so Keith's going to use the Extreme to do 2 layers of graphics. Tony says H2R graphics will let you overlay a count up timer. And he just gave himself an idea, which is awesome. Now Joe's curious. H2R lets you bring in multiple overlays simultaneously. Oh, but they're all H2R overlays, right? Like it's all the same program. They won't be you won't let can you bring in external overlays? Curious. Ouch. Ouch. That hurt. That's funny, Joe. Yeah, I bought these two. I bought this. I bought Lego sets. Just don't like, I bought some things. That's a real possibility. That's for sure. So Tony says you can combine multiple overlays within that are created within H2R. Okay, that makes sense. I feel like I should go try H2R again because when I did it last time, it didn't seem like it was very full featured. But if you're using it now and like it, I'm guessing it's probably come a long way since I tried it. Well, that's true. In your setup, yeah, OBS create could combine the layers into one key source, so you wouldn't actually have to change anything on your end. That makes sense. I did actually watch Jeff Gerling's new video. Um, I, I took a couple issues with it. At one point, he says that the microwave link is 77 megabits, whatever it is, and then all goes to the signal, or that like that's he basically implied that that's all for the bandwidth that was transmitted, which is not true. Uh, 19.39 megabits is ATSC 1. ATSC 3 can go, I think, up to 28 megabits if you don't care about reception. um, but I think in his video, it kind of implied, at least to me, that the 77 megabits were all for TV, which is not true. Um, I also find it a little interesting that he said that the dual transmitters were combined. If they are, that seems odd to me, but I guess it's possible that they're combined like that. But um, being they have different filters, I don't think they're combined. I think they're just A and B units because he says they can run independently or combined, and I don't know if they can run combined. So not to knock the video or Jeff. Jeff's a great. I mean, he obviously knows his stuff, but I feel like that video has some factual errors or some things that need clarification. Um, but don't get me wrong, great video. Definitely cool to see that kind of stuff. I just feel like there were a couple points where it was like maybe that's not as clear as it should be. Toro says 8 megahertz channels. Well, they're in the U.S. There's 6 megahertz channels, um, in Canada too, in Mexico. So in North America, we use 6 megahertz wide channels, and like I said, ATSC 1, which is the 8 VSB, your only bit rate can be 19.39. With ATSC 3, which is using COFDM modulation, you can actually, I believe, change the data rate basically to be highly resilient, so therefore lower. But you can also then obviously have like 4K max, throughput, which would have worse reception but higher bit rate. I will bet you, uh, I will bet you a lot of money that most stations choose to keep the bit rate low and improve reception, especially for anything like this. Um, and instead of going up to the high bit rate in 4K, they're going to keep it lower bit rate and make sure that things like tablets or in-car entertainment systems will be able to receive it. I do not see them going 4K to the wall. There's no financial reasons to do so. So, but yeah, so I mean that's just my opinion. This is my channel. I can give my opinion on things and only my opinion. So that's what I see happening. And we've talked about that before. As Tony points out, JAU. Woo! Um, so yeah, so basically, we get paid by ads, and we get paid by sub channels, and the sub channels almost always have a clause in the contract that says if you can go HD, you will present this channel in HD. So if your channel has your local TV station, let's say has 6 channels or 7 channels, with one of them being HD and 5 or 6 being an SD, if they go ATSC3 and they can go HD, then in order to get paid, those stations are going HD. So you're going to probably have 6 or 7 HDs instead of, one 4K. We talked about that last time, I think it was, or the time before. So Joe says one more link. Okay. Let's check this one out. Oh, hold on. Whole home backup power solution. $21.6 kilowatt hours of capacity. Interesting. Recommended by The Verge, TechCrunch, and How To Geek. Okay. So the starter kit is 3,600 watts. One day of essential power, 1 week of essential power. Okay. That seems like, I don't know. Let's just, what does the starter kit come with? Okay. 120 volt output, plug and play. $3,700. Alrighty. And you get a tax credit. Maybe. Interesting. I'm not hating it, that's for sure. It's a lot of power to be moved around. You add it with a solar panel, that could be interesting. They sell solar panels, of course. 23% conversion rate? That seems, I don't know if that seems low or high to me. I feel like that's low. But I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've looked at solar. You can recharge at thousands of EV stations worldwide. All right, yeah, that is definitely something interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so they're the iron version. That's good. Based off the YouTube video I saw the other day, anything's better than a power wall. There was, forget whose video that was, but he was not excited about it. That's for sure. Yeah, I was just seeing that the one. If you, I guess I go back. The advanced kit has 240 volt output, fully recharged in 5.4 hours. Interesting. Oh, you can daisy chain, like, okay, wow, we're now getting 4 extra batteries and a week of essential power. Yeah, that's that's kind of the price I was expecting to see. I mean, for most people, probably be great system. No need for a generator, no need for all the extra hookups and stuff. Um, could be, yeah. I mean, that's definitely interesting, Joe. I thank you for sharing that. That's kind of cool. I am using OBS. This is my um, office computer. Haley has her desk right over here behind the monitor, so we have desks that face each other. Um, so I don't have a whole lot of like, I mean, I have some desk space, but usually it's got bills or whatever I'm working on it. So I use just OBS and a webcam, and then um, I set up one light over here in kind of the walkway, and then there's obviously just a microphone on a mic stand that I've actually had since 2000 and no, yeah, it was probably from this mic stand's probably from 2000 when I had a band. I was in a rock band. I played bass guitar in one band. I dabbled in drums in the other one. I like drums, but I'm not the best at them. But I definitely can. I can play drums, and I played bass guitar for a while, and actually was fairly good at it. But without a band to be in, I kind of gave it up. So uh, you might get this reference. I'm sure some of you will. The band's name was called Phased, Phased. It was a rock band that we played Metallica, Green Day. The lead guitarist was named Will. He actually has a YouTube channel now where he plays stuff. He is super talented. He still plays. He's the only one that I know from the band who still plays. Um, we played some Metallica, some Green Day. We made up our own songs. I actually have the music somewhere. Can I find that? Do I even have? Where's that at? I think it's on this computer. I'm not finding it. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, I can't find it. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I know I have it somewhere. Um. So yeah, so I will have to. That might be interesting for next week. Maybe I'll find one of my old songs with the band and use it as the intro music. We never actually played a gig. So if I played the music, if I could find it for next week, it'd be the first public performance of that song ever, because we never released it. We just kind of we played music in his third floor attic, which was basically either hot as hell in the summertime or cold in the wintertime. It was um, and it was a really weird house. Like it was a really weird house, had a spiral staircase to get up there, which of course made moving equipment up there very interesting. um, I'm not even sure how we got the drum set up there. Did we just like bring it over the side of the house, like because it had a balcony? I forget how we brought the drum set up there. Anyway, rock on. No, we didn't point mics at each other. Although I will say, uh, Will, the guitarist, he like hand wrote the band logo name, like the word phased, and then I don't even remember how he did it. We digitized it somehow, made it orange, and it looked really cool. Like the logo was super cool. Um, I've got to find that music. I wish I knew where it was. Well, no, I won't headbang. I'll probably get myself a headache. I had one earlier, so I'd probably get myself a worse headache now. Also, I don't have any hair, so it really doesn't work very well. Um, yeah, I wish I could find that music. I'm not gonna. I guess I'm not gonna be able to find it. I should have already found it if I knew where it was. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up and say thank you all for joining as usual. Um, and remember to calm down. I am a trained broadcast engineer. Sorry. So you can all just calm down. Also remember it's always DNS. Whenever in doubt, it's DNS. I think Keith will go live tomorrow, if as usual. I think Jeremy's going to be posting a video about something earlier. I forget what Jeremy's video's on. Crap. Um, I could get a wig. Oh, the things that I'm thinking about for next week's stream. Huh? I have some ideas. We'll see. We'll have to see how adventurous I get. Um, so yeah. So you have everyone have a great night, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.